Good morning, it's MaryEllen from the channel MaryEllen After 60. And today I'm here to do a tag that one of my dear friends, Mary from Glitzy Fritzy, tagged me in. And it was your Fritzy elementary years. Well, I'm going to have to kind of change it up a little bit because I went to a private Catholic school. And we really didn't have very much fritziness going on then. But I will share with you some of the things that I really remember very well. And my very first teacher was Sister Celicia, and she was so kind and she was so wonderful. But I was just always so busy. I looked out the window, didn't pay attention, talked to people, but she was always very, very good at refocusing me. I remember the very first day of school, Monsignor came to speak with all the first graders, and I had known Monsignor my whole life. And he said, I know there's a lot of you that are really timid and shy, and it's going to be hard to get adjusted. And I said, I'm timid and shy. Well, he just cracked up, and he thought that was so funny. One time when I was in third grade, I remember running up the steps after recess. Of course, the boys played on one side of the school and the girls played on the other side, and I just ran up the steps, and there was like a double water fountain, and I bent down and got a drink. And Sister Ignatius, who was the mean one, she just came and took the back of my shirt and pulled me up, and she said, how dare you take a drink with a boy drinking in the other fountain? And I said, well, because I was thirsty. And she said, you bold and brassy little girl, don't you ever drink when there's a boy at the fountain. So I learned that in third grade. It's not fritzy, but it's just some memorable things. I remember when President Kennedy started the physical fitness program. We didn't have that in our school. It was so embarrassing because our days off were not the same as the public school, and all my friends were in public school. Well, most of my friends were. I had a lot of friends in the neighborhood that were in public school, and they would put a record player outside, and we would have to do exercises to the record player, and all these kids that weren't in school today, so were, oh, I was so embarrassed because they just stand and they'd laugh and they'd watch us. And when we went from the school over to church for mass every morning, we had to wear something on our heads, and if we didn't have anything, we usually wore a lace mantilla or something like that. You had to put a Kleenex on top of your head, and all these kids were going by in the school bus and they'd make fun of us. We went to mass every morning. We came back and we ate breakfast because you weren't allowed to eat before you went to communion. So we came back after mass, said our prayers, ate our breakfast, said our prayers, had religion. I mean, I don't know how everybody who went to the parochial school did wonderfully well in high school, but there really wasn't all that much time spent on actual studies. We really were very naive. Yes, we were. If the nuns would say two abreast, we all would giggle, and we couldn't giggle because we got in trouble, but just saying the word breast was enough to make us giggle. In fifth grade, I had my first lay teacher. So they were all nuns, and they were school sisters from Notre Dame, and a lay teacher. And I don't know what we would have done without that lay teacher, because she took the girls aside and talked about menstruation, and I mean that was something. I couldn't believe she was talking to us about that. I remember that vividly. And then there was Sister Ignatius. Oh my gosh. You know how you can always look back and think, well, you know what, they had good intentions, they really weren't mean. Well, I can't go back and say that about her. She was really, really mean. She would throw prayer books at people. She taught in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so we probably had, probably 40 students in there. I'm just guessing. I always had something to say when I was in school. Always got the check mark, practice self-control. Always was said, why can't you be like your sisters? I wasn't my sisters. It was hard. I wish I would have known, they would have known about ADHD back then, because it would have been hard. It would have been a lot easier. But now I'm going to talk about my high school days. Oh my gosh, all the rules were off. Well, they were still on at home, but once I got to the high school, it was absolutely excellent. I had so much fun. One of the fritzy things I can remember doing is, we wore mini skirts and go-go boots, a little bit higher than go-go boots. But I remember unzipping my boots and walking to sharpen my pencil. I remember being behind the teacher and acting like I was singing The Sound of Music and everybody was laughing, and by the time she looked around, I wasn't doing anything. I remember when one teacher said to me, "MaryEllen, have you read The Rapes of Grath?" And everybody started laughing. I mean, I was a kind that would go into a classroom early. We had these long windows that had drapes, and I would stand behind the curtains. And when a teacher called roll call, I would open the curtains and go, "I'm here." I got along really well with my high school teachers. They enjoyed my sense of humor. I remember grades 1 through 5 being excellent times. It was a great place to be. Grades 6 through 8, oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. It really was unbelievable how strict Sister Ignatius was. If you misspoke, if she thought you misspoke, you had to stand in the corner and hold a big dictionary out like that, and for as long as she wanted you to. So high school was heaven. It was fun. I did have a lot of fritziness, and I know I'll think about more at some other time. Oh, I do have something that I do want to share. I remember it was 7th or 8th grade, and my friend Pat, I speak about often. We've been friends since before we were born because our mothers were best friends. We were at school, and this Sandy so-and-so came up and told her that James so-and-so had told her that the way you get pregnant is a man sticks his penis in the woman and he pees. Well, Pat and I were absolutely appalled. I mean to tell you, I could not believe how gross James was to even make up anything like that. So my middle sister is 3 years older than me. So she was probably a sophomore in high school. And as soon as school was over that day, Pat and I marched up to my sister and said, "You would not believe what James told Sandy." And then we proceeded in telling her, and she said, "Well, he's got part of it right." Oh my gosh, that was very, very memorable, and I'm sure I was very fritzy at that time. Mary tagged a bunch of people to do this, and I am just going to go with some people off the top of my head. I looked to see who she tagged, so I believe the list I came up with is different than Mary's. I want to tag All That Beauty with Lori. I want to tag Olivia from Makeup Fun with Olivia. I'm not sure if she'll be able to do it. She's really busy. I want to tag Michelle from Kansas Girl 1969. I want to tag Sherry A. I want to tag Christine Richard. Also, Simply Me 1970, that's Robin. And Carolyn from Miss Flip Flops and Pearls. I'd also like to tag Junebug 1029 and Susan from Delicata 360. I don't know if you all have noticed it or not, but the clanging, I do have a microphone because I still cannot project my voice that well. I did want to tell you that. I am feeling better, but around my eyes, I've got circles and some puffiness. It's just because of the medication. And several of you wanted me to show the back of my wig, and I will do that right now. Glitzy Fritzy did start this tag. She made it up, and I want to give her credit for it, and she did an excellent job. You'll have to check out her fritziness because I tell you, she also told me something that was really, really helpful. When I first wore my Patsy on my head, I had a wig cap and then I had a wig strap. But she said, make 2 ponytails in the back like pigtails and then make them into little flat buns, or you may have to use 3, I don't know, depending on how thick your hair is. Then put your wig strap on, and then put your wig. And I tell you what, it is so cool. Jim has gone for a walk, so I wanted just to hurry up and get this filmed. I did not put any CC Plus cream on. I put on the CC Plus powder with the SPF 55, and I don't like it really that much without having something. I like my CC Plus cream on first. I have on Bite Agave crushed, I think crushed rose or something like that. I didn't even do my eyebrows because I have bangs, and I have worn bangs probably way over half my life. In fact, just the last 3 years I've grown them out. So all you people that I tagged, I'm subscribed to each one of you, and I expect to see you upload your version of this tag, and I will link Mary's below. I hope you have a great day. It is all good, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. And the first one was in 1st grade. Our teacher was Sister Ignatius. No, sorry. I've got Sister Ignatius on my mind.